In the early 17th century, one book stood above all others in England. This was the King James Bible, commissioned by King James I in 1604 and first published in 1611. It was a magnificent achievement. The goal was to create a single official version of the Bible for the Church of England. Scholars worked for years to translate the ancient texts into beautiful English. It became the most widely read book in the English-speaking world. Its words shaped language, culture, and faith for centuries. Every church had a copy, and many families treasured their own. It was a symbol of religious authority and national pride, a book meant to be perfect in every way. However, in 1631, something went terribly wrong. Two printers in London, Robert Barker and Martin Lucas, were given the important job of printing a new edition of this sacred text. They were the official royal printers, a position of great honor and responsibility. Printing was a difficult and painstaking process in those days. Each letter was a small metal block, and every single one had to be set by hand, line by line, page by page. It required immense concentration and a keen eye for detail. A single mistake could have serious consequences, especially when dealing with the Word of God. Barker and Lucas set about their task, likely unaware they were about to create one of the most infamous books in history. The mistake they made was small, but its meaning was enormous. In the book of Exodus, chapter 20, they printed the 10 Commandments. These are some of the most important rules in the Christian faith. But when they got to the Seventh Commandment, a crucial 3-letter word was left out. The commandment should have read, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Instead, the Bible printed by Barker and Lucas declared, "Thou shalt commit adultery." This wasn't just a simple spelling error. It was a command to do something considered a terrible sin. This shocking instruction turned a holy book into something that seemed to encourage wickedness. Imagine the horror of someone opening their new Bible to read the commandments and finding this instruction. It completely inverted a fundamental moral law. How could such a blunder have happened? Historians believe it was likely a simple human error. A typesetter, perhaps tired or distracted after hours of tedious work, might have accidentally omitted the word "not." There are whispers and rumors that a rival printer might have sabotaged the press to ruin Barker's reputation, but there is no solid proof of this. Whatever the cause, the result was a disaster. Around 1,000 copies of this Bible, soon to be nicknamed the Wicked Bible, were printed and began to circulate. News of the scandalous error spread quickly. It reached the ears of the highest authorities in the land, including the Archbishop of Canterbury, William Laud, and King Charles I himself. The king was a devout and serious monarch who believed in the divine right of kings and the sanctity of the Church of England. To him, this was not just a printing mistake. It was an insult to God and a direct challenge to his royal authority. He was utterly furious. An official version of the Bible that contained such a blasphemous command was an embarrassment to the crown and the entire nation. It undermined the very foundation of moral and religious order he was sworn to uphold. The reaction from the church was equally swift and severe. The Bible was seen as the literal word of God, and to tamper with it, even accidentally, was a grave offense. Church leaders were appalled. They feared the wicked Bible would spread corruption and sin among the faithful, or at the very least make the Church of England look foolish and incompetent. An immediate order was given to recall all the misprinted Bibles. Agents of the king and the church went out across the country to find and seize every copy they could. The goal was to destroy them all, to erase this dreadful mistake from history completely. Robert Barker and Martin Lucas were summoned to appear before the Star Chamber, a powerful and feared royal court. This was not a place for minor offences. It dealt with serious matters of state. The printers had no real defence. They were responsible for the quality of their work, and they had failed spectacularly. The court found them guilty of gross negligence. Their punishment was severe. They were stripped of their prestigious license to print, a devastating blow to their careers and livelihoods. This meant they could no longer work as the king's printers, a position that had brought them wealth and status. On top of losing their license, the printers were hit with a massive fine of £300. In 1631, this was an astronomical sum of money, equivalent to a fortune today. It was a punishment designed to ruin them financially and serve as a stark warning to all other printers in the kingdom. The message from the king and the court was clear. Absolute perfection was expected when dealing with sacred texts, and any failure would be met with the harshest penalties. Robert Barker, whose family had held the printing patent for decades, was utterly disgraced and spent the rest of his life in and out of debtor's prison, eventually dying there. Despite the king's order to destroy every copy, the recall was not entirely successful. 1,000 copies had been printed and distributed, and it was impossible to track down every single one. Some Bibles had already been sold and traveled to distant parts of the country or even abroad. Others were likely hidden away by people who were either defiant or simply curious about the scandalous book. Over time, as most copies were found and burned, the Wicked Bible became incredibly rare. Its infamy grew, and what was once a source of shame and anger slowly transformed into an object of fascination. The very thing that made the Bible wicked, its shocking misprint, was what made it famous. The story of the printer's punishment and the king's rage became a well-known tale. As the centuries passed, the book became less of a religious scandal and more of a historical curiosity. Book collectors and historians became fascinated by it. It was a physical piece of evidence of a bizarre moment in history, a tangible link to a time when a single missing word could cause a national crisis. The nickname Wicked Bible stuck, adding to its mystique and making it even more desirable to those who collect rare and unusual books. Today, it is believed that only around 20 copies of the original 1631 Wicked Bible still exist. These survivors are now priceless treasures, held in museums, university libraries, and private collections around the world. Institutions like the British Library in London and the New York Public Library are proud to have a copy in their collections. When a copy does occasionally come up for auction, it commands a very high price, often selling for tens of thousands of pounds. Collectors are eager to own this piece of printing infamy, a book famous for being so spectacularly wrong. The surviving copies are carefully preserved and studied by scholars. They are not just famous for the missing knot. Further examination has shown that the entire printing job was rather sloppy. Another significant error appears in the book of Deuteronomy, where greatness is misspelled as great ass, adding another layer of unintentional humor and blasphemy to the text. These multiple errors suggest the printers were indeed careless, rushed, or perhaps using old, worn-out equipment. The Wicked Bible is a testament to the fact that even in the most sacred of tasks, human error can lead to quite extraordinary outcomes. So, why does this story of a 400-year-old printing mistake still matter today? The tale of the Wicked Bible is important for several reasons. Firstly, it gives us a fascinating glimpse into the 17th century and the immense power held by the monarchy and the church. The severe reaction of King Charles I shows just how seriously the printed word was taken, especially when it came to religion. In an age without the internet or mass media, books were the primary way of spreading ideas, and the authorities were determined to control what was published. The story highlights the immense cultural and political importance of the Bible at that time. Secondly, the Wicked Bible serves as a powerful lesson in the history of printing and publishing. It reminds us that before modern technology, printing was a craft that required incredible skill and attention to detail. The story of Barker and Lucas is a cautionary tale about the consequences of carelessness and the importance of proofreading. It stands as a famous example of how a tiny error can have a huge impact, a concept that is still relevant in our digital age of instant communication. The financial and personal ruin of the printers underscores the high stakes involved in the industry. Furthermore, the survival and fame of the Wicked Bible tell us something about human nature. We are often fascinated by mistakes, scandals, and oddities. The book's journey from a source of official outrage to a coveted collector's item shows how historical perspectives can change over time. What was once considered a dangerous and blasphemous object is now seen as a quirky and valuable piece of history. It proves that even our blunders can become a part of our legacy, sometimes becoming more famous than our successes. The story has a certain dark humor to it that continues to capture the public imagination. In conclusion, the Wicked Bible is more than just an old book with a typo. It is a historical artifact that opens a window onto a different time. It tells a story of royal anger, professional ruin, and the unpredictable nature of history. It demonstrates the importance of accuracy, the power of the printed word, and our enduring fascination with the strange and scandalous. By studying this single flawed book, we learn a great deal about the society that produced it, the technology they used, and the values they held dear. The Wicked Bible remains a potent reminder that sometimes history's most interesting stories are found in its mistakes.